And finally, we would just urge him to seek that his department and the related bodies, including Visit Britain and Visit England, and English Heritage for that matter, give their full support to Britain on Foot in the campaign that's going to go ahead in the months ahead. It is interesting to note that President Obama is supporting these initiatives in the States. They have a great outdoors month in the US. I'm not particularly competitive much. I just think that we could do a lot more, a lot better than the US, and those sort of ideas would be great. Just wanted to end recognising the huge contribution of great adventurers that we've had in this country. Bonington, Willans, all of these great climbers. But let's focus on Whymper, who was the first who climbed the Matterhorn in 1865. He said, "There have been joys too great to be described in words, and there have been griefs upon which I have not dared to dwell. And with these in mind, I say, climb if you will, but remember that courage and strength are naught without prudence, and that a momentary negligence may destroy the happiness of a lifetime. Do nothing in haste, look well to each step, and from the beginning, think what may be the end." Determined and inspired words. Hopefully from my remarks tonight, my right honourable friend may feel similar resolve to reach new summits in sports and in these activities we've talked about today. The view from the top? Well, enduring economic benefits and the improved health of our nation. It's surely a climb that's worth taking.
To reply to the debate, I call the Minister, Hugh Robertson.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. The start of what I think is my 7th hour in the chamber today. I'd like to begin by thanking my honourable friend, the MP for Macclesfield, for organising this debate about the important role that participation in outdoor pursuits can play in supporting tourism, health, well-being and sports-related activity. The government recognises that tourism is a cornerstone of growth, and we absolutely recognise the role that tourism plays in rural economies and the role within that outdoor pursuits, from camping, hill walking, climbing and outdoor adventure, play in underpinning key local tourism economies. The Great Campaign, run from the Prime Minister's office, celebrates the UK's rich heritage and contemporary culture, our people and places to visit, as well as our great commercial strengths. Outdoor leisure is a key area for this campaign, as it enables us to promote the United Kingdom as a fantastic destination for adventure and exploration. Officials in my department are at present exploring the possibility of linking this campaign with other areas of government activity, for example, the Department of Health's Change for Life scheme. And across the piece, Visit Britain's greatest ever global tourism campaign, supported by GREAT, is expected to create 4.6 million extra visitors, £2.3 billion worth of additional spend, and nearly 60,000 jobs over the next 4 years. An analysis has already shown that investment in GREAT to date is projected to help generate around £250 million for the British economy over the next 2 years. The rural economy is well placed to benefit from this investment.
I thank the Minister for giving way, and I was delighted to be at King's Cross Station to welcome the new Discover Leeds tourism campaign, which has had regional growth funding, which is absolutely marvellous. But can I also ask him to acknowledge the important role and the opportunity through Britain on Foot to get people walking in urban and suburban areas? We have a great example, the Meanwood Valley Trail, that goes from Leeds Centre right through my constituency, through nature reserves and parks, to connect with the countryside. So it applies to all areas.
Well, I thank the honourable member for that intervention indeed, and I say this every time he intervenes with me, for the work he's done over the Rugby League World Cup as well. I'm sorry I wasn't able to join them this morning. I think the reason's obvious because of the bill today. But absolutely, I acknowledge the point that he's making. This has been done incredibly successfully, and indeed in quite a lot of the reconstitution work that's being done around the Olympic Park. One of the key objectives has precisely been to create those sort of walking trails, and indeed we did quite a lot of work last year that I led to make sure that the full commitments over the cycling area were indeed upheld when the track is reconstituted after the Games. In tandem with the Visit Britain investment, Visit England has a £25 million campaign, including Holidays at Home Are Great, which is expected to create over 12,000 jobs with 500 million extra spend by tourists over the same period, 2011 to 2015. Let me turn, Mr. Speaker, to specific government support. The current economic climate is, of course, making life hard for many communities and businesses. So, apart from great, what is the government doing to help? Visit England includes the promotion of outdoor activity in their work with the support of the Regional Growth Fund and DCMS investment. They are entirely supportive, which I hope will please my honourable friend, they are entirely supportive of the aims of the Britain on Foot campaign as they align with increasing activity in the great outdoors and the subsequent economic benefit that this will have for tourism businesses. Visit England absolutely recognise the connection between increased outdoor activity-related tourism and the increased sales of outdoor-related clothing and equipment. And the agenda of the Outdoor Industries Association and Britain on Foot is very much aligned with Visit England's strategic framework for tourism in England and its focus on modernising the rural offering and getting younger people in particular interested in outdoor experiences which will ultimately benefit the rural economy. Of course.
Thank you for giving way. In my constituency, I've got the Pennine Way coming through. I've got Bronte Country, Top Withens.
Showing off.
And I've also got Ilkley Moor as well, which is. I'm not going to sing a song. But what is important actually is the economy that's around that, because not only have we got a fantastic countryside, great privilege to be part of, but actually the economy around that's really important. And the money that the Secretary of State, the Minister is talking about, is really important about stimulating that economy. Does he recognise the importance of that rural service economy as well?
Absolutely, Mr. Speaker. It's been quite a day for me to move from same-sex couples to Ilkley Moor, but I do say absolutely enthusiastically and entirely endorse what the honourable member has just said. I suspect what will particularly please honourable members is that mountaineering is, of course, receiving £3 million through Sport England's whole sport plans 2013 to 17, and that DEFRA has announced a £2 million fund for the creation of new permanent access rights under a £25 million package to promote rural tourism and support rural tourism businesses following their Rural Economy Growth Review in 2011. The Paths for Communities schemes, funded by the Rural Development Programme for England, aims to develop and enhance the Rights of Way network to the benefit of the local economy by funding projects developed by the local communities in question. Yes, of course.
Thank you, Minister, for giving way. I just wonder if he could say anything about how people should get to these great outdoor places. And obviously, rural transport is really important, particularly for young people and people on low incomes who perhaps don't have access to a motor car. And I wonder if that's something he's discussed with his colleagues in the Department for Transport.
I have to say, in all honesty, no. But the point she makes is a good one, and I will make sure we take that away and follow it up. And if she's happy for me to do that, I'll write to her about that afterwards. I mean, it is an extremely good point. Part of the attraction of many of these places is that they are by nature a little bit remote, and it is important that, while maintaining the correct sort of balances, that we do open them up to young people in particular. During the last 12 months, the government has announced that 107 million will be made available for cycling during this Parliament, and that included last month's announcement of a fund worth up to 12 million being made available to local authorities working in partnership with the national parks to improve conditions for cyclists. What else, Mr. Speaker? There has access, I believe, through the Rights of Way and open access is probably the best that it has ever been in England, and access is, of course, incredibly important for the economy. We can be very proud of our network of national trails, which can be important generators for local business. Evidence researched by the University of Exeter, as an example, shows that the South West Coast Path alone generates around 300 million a year for the economy of the region and supports around 7,500 jobs. Natural England is committed to increasing the number and range of people who can experience and benefit from the natural environment and leading the government's ambition that everybody should have fair access to a good quality natural environment. They're therefore championing outdoors for all on behalf of the government and the natural environment, and ensuring that green space, volunteering and the heritage sectors all work side by side with partners to help improve the quality of everybody's experience of natural places. Let me just touch on, I'll touch on the two issues that the honourable gentleman mentioned in a minute. Let me just say a few words about health and well-being. The Olympic legacy is already making an impact since we won the bid back in 2005. And I have to say, on that happy night in Singapore, when we were celebrating it, if you had told me this would happen, I would have said it was a wonderful ambition, but unlikely to be realised. But we have indeed managed to ensure that an extra million, over 1.5 million more people are playing sport regularly since the bid to stage the Games was won in 2005, which is a remarkable achievement and one that no other host nation has managed. And Sport England and the Department of Health are working very closely together to align programmes to support those who are least active. We've recently had an opportunity for interested organisations to apply to the Get Healthy, Get Into Sport Fund. That's seeking to improve the evidence base for the role of sport to engage inactive people, many of whom I suspect would be attracted by precisely the activities that the Honourable Member is advocating, and produces the right type of information that is of interest to those commissioning public health programmes. Let me just touch on the two issues he mentioned. The IOC vote. I always get asked about this, about IOC votes, and it is important to say that the vote over which sports go into the mix, and he's absolutely right, the vote is in September, I think, at the IOC session in Buenos Aires. The only people who vote on that are the IOC members, and they are extremely resistant to pressure from government to try and get sports in and out. There are a number of sports who are trying to get in at this time round. A number of them are sports that would do us as a country quite a lot of good. We would like to see them in. The advice to mountaineering, the advice I give to any sport, is that you have to take a strategic long-term view of this. It may well be, I mean, I don't know, mountaineering may be lucky in 2020. If not, they want to keep plugging away at it, because the programme does change regularly. You could sense, even in London, that there were some sports that may not have a long-term future in the Summer Games. You know, there really is a case. I mean, you could do mountaineering, I presume, in either a winter or a Summer Games. There will be a place for it in both. So it is well worth plugging away at a strategic level. On the three things that he asked me, absolutely I acknowledge, and I hope he'd have confidence from what I've said, I absolutely acknowledge the opportunities for outdoor pursuits. I would be delighted to meet with the organisations. If he doesn't mind, could he give me a month while we get this little bit of legislation, a little uncontroversial piece of legislation through Parliament over the next month? And absolutely, I will give him my assurance that I will ensure that the arm's length bodies give full support to the Britain on Foot initiative. Mr. Speaker, at the end of 7 hours, and finally in conclusion, and thank you for remaining with us for most of it. Yeah.
I thank Minister for giving way. One point that was raised by one of my honourable friends from Wales was the issue of using outdoor pursuits in education. Will you give a commitment to work with the DFE to achieve that?
Minister.
I think at this stage of the evening I might just say indeed yes. Trust me, it will be done. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, before I go off and make my final speech of the evening outside the chamber, I would like to finish by confirming that through many of the initiatives in place, government entirely recognises the important role that informal outdoor activity plays in supporting tourism, health and the well-being agendas, and particularly sport-related activity. Post-London 2012, there is a unique opportunity to market this country. We have seen the effect of that already if you look at the increase in visitor numbers post-2012. And the Honourable Member and all others can be absolutely assured from my part that outdoor pursuits will play a key part in this process.
Order. The question is that this House do now adjourn. As many as have that opinion say aye. Aye. On the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Order. Order.
Well, that's the end of the day in the House of Commons. We will now be going over live to the House of Lords. Remember,